So today I'm going to be talking about money, and the money discussion we are going to be having today is going to be from a more spiritual dimension. Okay, so especially for those of us that are Christians, you will relate more with some of the teachings that we are going to be doing today. And for those that are not Christian, I don't think it's a problem, and because the principles does not just work for those that are Christians, but works for everybody. So the teachings are going to be taken from the Bible, right? And we'll relate it with all the other things that we do. So basically, what is God's purpose for money? Really, I mean, if I'm going to name this video, if I'm going to give it any name, those are the things that I'll probably look at it. In fact, I've written different topics, but divine purpose for money, divinity of money, what's God's purpose for money, and all of that. So all and all and all and all and all and all. I'm going to be reading scripture too. And so permit me to start this old Bible teaching today about money from the book of Psalm. Psalm 35 verse 27 talks about, let them shout for joy and be glad who favors my righteous cause, and let them say continuously, let the Lord be magnified, who has pleasure, which is where we are going actually, who has pleasure in the prosperity of his servants, who has pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. Okay, so God has pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. He has pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. So that's looking at it from the New King James Version. So we'll be looking at it from another version which says, but let my friends shout for joy, all those who know and love what I do for you. Let them say, the Lord is great and he delights in his prosperity. So what this basically is talking about is that God wants us to be wealthy. Okay, I know that a lot of people believe that some people are just designed or are destined to be wealthy. But the truth is that it is God's desire for us to be wealthy. God actually wants us to have wealth. In fact, there's a scripture that talks about that the silver and gold actually belongs to God. Silver and gold actually belongs to God. So if this thing belongs to God, and I mean, you belong to God, how come God can't give you the silver and gold that belongs to him? So basically, we'll be looking at a whole lot of what is the scripture saying about money. Okay, those are some of the things that we are going to be looking at. I've thought of money in different dimensions, but I needed to teach money in this dimension to give us another level of understanding and dimension and insight and perspective too, which I believe is also very, very important. So why are we looking at this video today? Number one is to enable us understand money from the angle of giving. Okay, a lot of people don't understand that before you can eat, you need to plant. That's the design of God, for us to till the ground by planting. You plant to get cassava, you plant to get other things. So that's the design. If you don't plant and nurture, there is literally no way you will be able to get things. Okay, so also to look at it from culturally, what does it really mean to give, right? Culturally, what does it really mean to be given? And I'm going to look at this from a literal term. There's a scripture that talks about God planted, Apollos water, God gives the increase. And it's one scripture that I have meditated on over and over and over and over again. And I realized that there are three principal individuals there: Paul, Apollos, and God. Paul did the planting, Apollos ensured that there's always going to be water. Probably Apollo provided rainfall or provided irrigation, provided there's enough rain, enough sufficiency, enough nutrients. Probably Apollo even provided fertilizer, did all of that. But you can do the planting, you can provide all that you could. In fact, we can even say that Apollo guarded the whole place so that weed will not germinate, will not cover the planting. You can even say security was there guarding everything and all of that. We can see all of those things. So Apollos planted, the Paul planted, Apollos water, but there is a God factor. Okay? So note that statement, note the sequence. Apollos planted, Paul planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. God does not bring increase on what has not been planted, what has not been nurtured, and what has not been watered appropriately. God will never give increase to any of such. Okay? So you need to understand that I want God to bless me. I want God to bless me. I want God to do this. What are you doing? What are the things that are in the works? What are the things? What is in your hand? Have you watered it? Have you nurtured it? Have you expanded? Have you built on it? That is what God is going to put an increase on. Okay? And look at the issue of money, right? A lot of people often talk about, we don't talk about money enough, but it's one of the biggest problem that we have in our home, family. A lot of people are hungry, especially now that inflation, I often say something now that all you need to be poor right now is to earn what you are earning a year ago now. You're automatically poor. Okay? If your earning power does not increase, then you are automatically a poor person. So your earning capacity needs to increase. There's no middle way at all to it. Your earning capacity has to increase. Okay? In the anger, frustration, tension, bottled aggression everywhere. Government is looking for money. In fact, I'm in Lagos, depending on where you are from. Lagos, one of the government officials of Lagos was saying, see, we need money in Lagos. Land is our oil, because I'm into real estate too. And guy was just hammering, land is our own oil here. We are not joking, we are not this and all of those things. Okay? So high tension, a whole lot of stuff tribes in the family. You drop 100K cannot do anything. 2 weeks, they're asking for more money. Anger, anxiety, frustration, desperation, all of these are the things that we are seeing in our home, all because of money. So many are using the economy as an excuse to justify their poverty, right? A lot of people say the reason why I don't have is because the economy is not good. Don't you see that the government is not trying? Don't you see that fuel is scarce? Don't you see that there's no food, there's no work, there's no this, there's no that, blah, 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 and all of those things, There are two things I'm going to say. And when my father was alive, my father passed on about 20-something years ago, he said that his own father, when he was growing up, he had all this stuff. Don't you see, don't you see, don't you see, don't you see. In fact, my father used to keep old newspaper. And there were newspapers of 1970-somethings, in the early 70s and late 70s that I saw that, in fact, if you bring some of those newspapers out right now, it literally reflects the same set of things that were battling 30, 40 years, 50 years ago. It's still what we're battling now. Okay? However, some people were able to create wealth in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 10s, in the 00s, in the 10s, and now people are creating wealth in the 20s. Okay? So, yes, that can be an excuse. Okay? This time, many people are throwing into where they are just giving up, they are just quitting, and they are turned beggars, and they are just saying that no, things are not just working. Okay? People are not just really going for it. And most of the people that are doing this are actually Christians, right? Christians are throwing the towards, believers are backsliding, and there's a lot of anger on the church. In fact, I remember somebody said he was going to collect his tithes. I'm going to collect his tithe back. All the tithe he has paid to church was want to collect all his tithe back. It's all a reflection of anger, right? So the guy doesn't want to collect anything. He's just angry, right? He has done everything that he can, just like it could be like a Paul that has planted. It's like an Apollos that has watered, but there's no increase. There is no increase. Okay. In fact, I meditated on that scripture so much that I realized that that statement is born out of not just revelation, is born out of practicality. You could try all that you can, and there will still be no increase. You can give it all that it takes, and there will still be no increase. Okay? It is God that can control increase. Okay? So, Jesus talked about a whole lot of things, and most of the things he talked about, 1/3 of it, with over 2,000 scriptures in the Bible, talks about finance, productivity, money, economy, and all of those things. Okay? A whole lot of things. The Bible talked about it. So those are some of the things we'll be examining and how it affects all areas of our life, our family, our finances, and all of those things. Okay? So Nigeria and Africa suffered a lot of poverty. And one of the things we've suffered a lot of poverty is because we are literally we are the beggarly ones, right? We are the beggarly ones. And even you are begging, people will just come and give you handouts. Instead of them to come and produce the handout in your country, they will give you the handout. So they've created a job in their own country, and they are looking for where to ship those things to. Do you know that people literally start war so that they can sell weapons? Okay, if there's peace, the whole industry of war, of humanitarian literally die. That business just die naturally. Okay, so the continent of Africa has been plagued with this. Financial situation is not smiling anywhere. Yes, there are beggars on the street of New York, but every corner in Africa you literally can see beggars. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 4 things we just need to know about money, and these are more or less like underlying assumptions. And you see, if we don't get these assumptions right, we literally not going to make any progress. In fact, we will not be making any significant progress if we don't get these assumptions on the way, away from our mind and all of that. And you see, the reason why this is so interesting and important is that I remember many years ago, I attended a program, and the title of the program is called So in case you have watched this video to this stage, then it's not out of place for you to just continue on the part 2. Okay, number 1 is that money is not evil. So 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10 talks about the fact that Money is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. But money in itself is not evil, right? Money in itself is not evil. It is the love of money. So you see, when the purpose of a thing is not known, definitely there will be an abuse. So money is not to be loved. Money is to be sent on an errand. Money is to be sent as a messenger, not for us to, that's not the purpose. So the purpose of money is simply, that's even the reason why we call it currency. It's supposed to be moving from one place to the other. So when you store up money and it becomes a burden, that is when it becomes something you fall in love with. That's where it becomes evil. Because anything that touches that money, you strike back, and it helps you to now propagate the agenda of evil. So the love of money is the root of evil, not evil itself. Money in itself is not evil. Money is good. It will give you a better life and all of that. And maybe I should just give a little bit background. God did not create money. It is human creation. In the book of Genesis, God never created money. Money was a creation of human being. It's a human system of exchanging value. That is what it is. So basically, money is actually value. So money is what is used to measure the value I create and I transfer. Money is what is used to measure the value I create and I transfer. So basically, that's what money is all about. So it depends on who you are, actually. It depends on who you are, what you've done, and all of those things is what will determine how much money you have access to, how much money you can control, or how much money you are controlling. So I think we need to really, really understand that. So money is all about value, and how much value you are doling out is what will determine how much money comes your way. Then other thing we need to know is that money being painted as evil is not good. So even in the Bible talks about, I think I mentioned that scripture earlier, Haggai chapter 2 verse 8, that money is God's property. That's why it says in Haggai 2:8 that silver and gold are mine. So silver and gold actually belongs to God. Okay? Silver and gold does not belong to human being. It is God that owns it. Okay, that's why you see it in abundance as natural resources. It's not supposed to be mined and stored up. Okay, but don't let us go into all of those details right now. God has created enough resources has actually been created for everybody not to be poor. It is greed, selfishness, and self-centeredness that has made things messed up the way they actually are right now. Okay, so Jesus became poor so that we might become rich. Okay, so although money is an evil master, but it's a good slave. So you're supposed to be sending money on an errand. So I can't finish this whole fourth stuff. So I'll start the number 2 from the next video. Okay, but there's something interesting that I really need to talk about, and I'm going to be rounding up with this story. I've shared this story several times, and anytime I just thinking about this story, it shows me the kind of world that we live in. And this is the story. The story is very simple and straightforward. Miles Moron, of blessed memory, traveled to Ethiopia, and he saw a lot of poverty. Came to Africa, saw a lot of poverty, and he was very worried. Said he was worried. He was like, what's really going on here, and all of that. And because he was so worried, the thoughts kept boggling in mind. What can be done? How come there's so much poverty in this world? How come some people are suffering and some people are enjoying and all of those things? So as thinking about all of that, I don't know whether it happens some of us. Anytime we're thinking about something, you just be seeing things connected to that problem that you are trying to solve. Okay, so as I was thinking about all of those things, suddenly he had another engagement somewhere in Haidoa in the United States. So the person that picked him up from the airport was driving him to the place where he was going to be speaking or staying and all of that. And they had to travel through, if you know Idaho in the United States, that's more or less like the state that produced the highest number of potato. Okay, so you have to travel through a lot of potato farm. And it was just like, imagine abundance of food here, Ethiopia, they are suffering and all of those things. So suddenly they got to a place they were crushing potatoes. So he asked the driver, why are they crushing this potato? Why? Why are they crushing this potato? He said that those potatoes needs to be crushed because there was excess and abundance harvest this year. And if they push all this harvest into the market, the prices of potato is going to crash. And because these guys that did business, they don't want the prices of potato to crash, they have to crush it. And you know, imagine somebody experiencing lack while he was in Africa and all of a sudden seeing waste while he's in the United States. And they just ship it to Africa and people can get proper meal, for goodness sake. He said this. He said it right there and there. He said, the world does not have a poverty problem. The world has a greed problem. That's where I'm going to be dropping it today. So please just like, share, and do subscribe. Okay? My name still remains Okpe Oluwa Oni. Bye for now.